What's going on, guys? I'm your host, JUICEbox, and in today's video, we are going to talk about if Tom King ruined Batman 50 with his ending, and I think the answer is no. I don't think he did. Personally, if you guys haven't read Batman 50, obviously this is going to be spoilers, and it's been spoiled all over the internet already, so you probably know. But I think that Tom King, if you guys didn't know, Batman and Catwoman don't end up getting married. Read the issue, it's really amazing. Definitely check it out for yourself. But they don't end up getting married, and I think the blame, if we need to blame somebody as comic fans, because I was sad, I don't like the ending, personally, as a fan of Batman. Like, I wanted him to just get married to Catwoman and have it done, because it's never happened before. If we have to blame somebody, I would say we need to blame DC Comics and the New York Times for their super spoilery headline, instead of making it more nonchalant and just like, you know, spoilers in the article, instead of putting the "they don't get married" right on the title. That's not what they titled it, but it was something along those lines. And also, it falls blame on DC because, one, they let the New York Times like post that so early instead of giving them like an embargo and be like, yo, you can't post it till Wednesday morning. And it's also the hype that was around this issue. Like, this was the biggest issue, guys. Like, there was 50 plus variants of this freaking event. Everybody was like, they were making it seem like this was it. Like, it was finally going to happen. Catwoman, Batman, getting married. This is an 80-page issue. The artwork, the story, everything in this, I think, is amazing. But obviously, besides the ending. Well, the ending is amazing, but the not getting married part of the comic is what sucked, in my opinion. And I think it sucks for Tom King. And I know a lot of people are like, he's the writer, of course it's his fault. Let's jump into some perspective here real quick. Yes, he is the writer. But don't forget, guys, don't forget that you can't do anything you want with these characters. Like, you still have an editor, you still have higher-ups. They're not letting Tom King do whatever the hell he wants. You can't just, like, let me kill everybody in the DC universe and they're all gonna die. They gotta write comics, you know? There's, like, structure to these things. And even Scott Snyder, who did the previous Batman run that everybody ranted and raved about, he said that there was some, like, characters he couldn't use, and he had limitations. Like, not, like, super strict ones, but there were certain characters he couldn't use that he wanted to. And so, why wouldn't Tom King have the same kind of situation? Maybe DC were like, we don't want him to get married. You can build this whole event, but at the end, maybe we don't want him to get married. There's no proof of that. I'm just throwing it out there. It's very possible that DC could have said, don't do this. On top of that, if you do follow Tom King a lot, like, I've watched a lot of his interviews, I've wanted to see, like, how he writes and stuff. I've been doing a lot of research for my own comic books. I love reading other people's scripts. And in that research, I've seen a lot of Tom King interviews, and he's talked about this in plenty of interviews at Comic-Cons and stuff like that, that this story is 100 issues. Like, and he's talked about how the 100 issues are going to be centered around the love of Batman and Catwoman. So if you know that as a fan, you know that this probably wasn't going to be a story, or it's not the end of the story. Now, you could have still had them get married and then continued another 50 issues of that, but now we don't know what's going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now it's just going to be kind of the same old, and that's where me as a fan, I'm like, well, that sucks. And Tom King has said, well, like, oh yeah, now we have a Batman that's broken, let's see if he can come back. I'm like, well, it's fucking Batman, of course he's going to come back. But, you know, now he's, like, genuinely heartbroken by someone he loved. That I don't know if Batman feels betrayed. We haven't got issue 51 yet, so I don't know how he's gonna feel. But I'm interested in seeing how he's gonna feel. So that's a good thing that's going on in the comic book. But I would have rather seen a married Batman. But that's my opinion. But, you know, that's not how the internet operates. The internet has been freaking out about this. Freaking Tom King can't even post a tweet with people being all like, I'm canceling your run. Oh my god, you're stupid. Blah, 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 blah. Like, people are being ridiculous about this. And I don't know, like, I get it. I get why you can be upset. I was upset by the outcome, but I'm not going to cancel Tom King's run. It's a solid run. He's a really great writer, and I want to see where this is going to end. I'm in it for the long haul, and a lot of people are saying they're going to cancel their subscriptions or whatever, and that's fine. If you want to do that, totally cool, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the problem is it was way overhyped. There was, like I said, 50 plus variants. There was Spotify soundtracks for the wedding. There was invitations that you could pick up at your local comic shop. So I think it was just marketed very, very badly. If they had not marketed it that way, and this was just a regular Tom King issue that came out, maybe, you know, you still give it 80 pages and maybe like 3 or 5 variants or something like that, but you don't make it as big as this. I don't think this has the biggest outrage that it's having right now. And I think it's, I don't know, I just feel like the hype and the marketing around it is what people are more upset about, and not the story itself. Because if you've read Batman long enough, which I have, you know this stuff happens all the time. Like Batman could never be happy, it seems like. Like something always goes wrong. He's finally getting some of that happiness, and then somebody dies. Or like that person dies. Or, you know, something goes crazy and he has to break off a relationship. It's been what's been going on forever. That's why I was so excited for them to actually get married. I'm like, yes, it's finally gonna not be the typical Batman stuff, and then it happened to be the typical Batman stuff, which kind of sucked. And like I said, don't know if that's Tom King's preference. Maybe he wanted to do that, because if you've ever read anything he's done, he kind of hits you in the emotions a lot, and I think that's what makes him such a great writer. To borrow a quote from somebody I follow on Twitter, which I'm totally blanking on the name right now, Daniel RPK is the name, and the tweet is, "A good writer makes you love his characters, a great writer makes you suffer for them." That tweet speaks a lot to me, because it's true. I was literally bummed out about finding out about this because I was so into it, and I think that's what's good about Tom King, and that's what he does in his stuff. Like, I've read a lot of his stories, and yeah, he's not the like happy-go-lucky kind of writer. Like, he does have a lot of depressing shit in his comic books, and I think that's life, yo. Like, there are people that get left at the altar and stuff like that. It sucks that it's Batman, but, you know, he's still gonna come out being this as some kind of badass. The thing that sucks is, and I think a lot of people think that that's like the last page of like, oh yeah, freaking, you know, Catwoman leaves Batman, so whatever, like, that's the last page. It's not. Like, there's literally one final page in here that if you've been reading this run, you're just like, oh crap, and it involves a whole bunch of villains. So, and it's like there's a betrayal in it too. Like, Selina's closest friend basically betrays her and is working with all of these villains, and I'm just kind of like, where is this going? Like, maybe, you know, I think, because if you read the actual issue, it seems like that best friend kind of plants a seed in Selina's head to make this happen, and Selina's kind of like, she wanted to go through it. Like, she had the wedding dress, she had everything, but I think that friend, from the way I read it, or the way I perceive it in the comic book, that friend is the one that actually causes Selina to start thinking about, like, oh man, if Batman's happy, he's not going to be Batman anymore. And I don't think that's the case. I think you can have a married Batman and still have him be a badass. But that's what the person does. And then there's all of these other characters in the end of that panel that you're just like, what? One of them shouldn't even be there. Like, they died in continuity of Tom King's run. Like, Tom King's issue did that. So I'm kind of interested to see how the hell they're there. But yeah, so like the issue itself, if there was not the hype, if the hype wasn't there, if the New York Times article didn't come out, I think this would have just been another solid issue in Tom King's run. And it sucks that he's being just like shitted on because of the spoiler. And I even tweeted about this. I said that it sucks that this thing was so overhyped and that Tom King doesn't have Selina and Batman getting married, Catwoman and Batman getting married, because now if he does it later, like if this was Tom King's master plan, right, he's like, alright, I'm gonna build to this wedding, and then at 50, they're not gonna get married, and then he's gonna go through this whole other thing for 25 issues, and then maybe at issue 75 or 100, they'll actually just get married, like, by themselves with, like, Alfred ordained or something like that. You know, if that ends up happening later, I feel like it's gonna be kind of a cop-out, because the way 50 was so hyped, I feel like people are just going to automatically assume, which again, this could have been Tom King's plan the whole time, but I feel like people are just going to automatically assume that he just made up for people hating 50. And that sucks as a writer, because then now you're just kind of going to be stuck with that little stigma of like, oh yeah man, he totally did that because everybody was so pissed at 50. Which kind of sucks, because I mean, what if you do, like, I don't know, and I think it's harder for writers that do have a 100-issue story instead of Tom King that's used to like the 12 issues or whatever. And I don't know, that really sucks to think about that, you know, he could have had this awesome story planned and it was just ruined by mass marketing and people freaking out. So, I don't know. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on this because it's something I thought about a lot this week. I ended up reading the issue finally on Wednesday, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was awesome. Joelle Jones, who did the Catwoman story, Catwoman got a new series this week too, and that was really cool because it happens basically right after the wedding kind of stuff. And I thought that was pretty dope, and there's like a little hint of like Alfred sending, you know, her stuff to her, and she's like all crying because she didn't want it to happen. So I'm just interested where this story is gonna go. Like, she's obviously still in love with Batman, but she felt like she had to sacrifice her love so he can continue saving the world. And I don't know, it's gonna be really interesting to see what's gonna happen, where they're gonna go with this. I obviously as a fan would have loved for it to happen and them got married, but you know, maybe I'll have to make it happen when I'm Batman. I'm writing Batman, you know what I'm saying? Because it's my dream. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. I just wanted to make this video because I know some of you guys are comic book readers out there. You love the Batman, and you probably heard about this drama, and maybe you're not reading about it. Definitely pick up Tom King's run. I'm telling you, it's solid. He's done some of the best work I've seen. I know a lot of people just want, like, Scott Snyder, like, oh, mystery Batman. I just want to kick everybody's ass. But I think Tom King's bringing something to Batman that we haven't seen before, and I think it's awesome. So anyways, check that out. But that's pretty much it. I don't really have videos for you guys to go check out. I mean, you can. I'm working on a bunch of stuff. Comic-Con's coming around really soon, and I'm hoping to meet Tom King there, hopefully. Maybe I'll meet him. But, and some other awesome people, Jeff Johns. Because, like, they, you know, whatever, they're gonna be there. Maybe I'll see him. I met Jeff Johns once at Comic-Con. It was awesome. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it. As always, I'm your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. If I have my daily dose of juice, see you guys next time. Bye!